fix the flaws in myself. It's never done. No, no, it's never done. No, no, like local construction. It's never done.
Good morning. How's everyone doing this morning? Oh, that was kind of sad. You know there is caffeine in the lobby if you need any at any time. How's everyone doing this morning? Doing all right? Doing good? Well, glad to be here. My name is Brian, and I am so excited to be here with One Church this morning. You guys just have an awesome church, an incredible opportunity to do amazing ministry and be the hands and feet of Jesus in Chartiers Valley. And so today we are talking about friendship. And something that I've noticed about friendship, and I don't know if this has been your experience, but the older that I get, it seems that friendship becomes something that becomes more of a challenge. I don't know what it is, but many times when we're young or younger, we really think and we cherish those friendships that we had that maybe when we were in college or even in high school or middle school or elementary school, right? Some of us have some really great memories of friends that we had when we were young. But it seems that as the older we get, or at least the older that I get, friends, it just becomes one of those things like, I just don't have time for it, or we're not in one of those structured relationships where we're in school and we're around people all the time, or we just get so busy that we just don't have time for friends. And so we really want to talk about the importance of friendship today. And I wanted to start out with this quote from C.S. Lewis. And he says this: "Is any pleasure on earth as great as a circle of Christian friends by a fire?" Any pleasure on earth is great as a circle of Christian friends. I love this image. I don't know if you've ever sat around a campfire, but come on, at some point you've got to have had that experience of sitting around a fire with some friends, some family members, and just having those great moments. I've had some incredible conversations around the campfire. Matter of fact, even as I think about it right now, I'd probably add to C.S. Lewis's quote, "A circle of friends by a fire while roasting marshmallows." I mean, come on, somebody. Roasting marshmallows? S'mores are perfection. I mean, we could just give God thanks for taste buds and giving somebody the idea of melted marshmallow, chocolate, and graham crackers all together. I have no idea why we're talking about this, but it just seemed to go there with the fire thing. So I'm all about s'mores. I'm all about friendship. I'm all about friendship and s'mores together. But it's really important that we understand that God designed us to do life together. And that you've heard it here probably several times, and you'll probably hear it a lot more if you stick around, is that life is better together. And it's true that friendship is something that makes life so much better. So kind of the thesis for this talk today, or where we're really going to land here, is the understanding is that most friendships fail because we don't have a strong enough commitment to the relationship. And so we know this, but any relationship requires time. It doesn't matter if it's your marriage, if it's a dating relationship, or if it's a friendship. It could even be your relationship with your children. It all takes time. It takes energy. It takes some form of commitment. And so I really believe that the older that we get and the less friendships we seem to have, it's because we put less time, energy, and effort into having a friendship. I don't know if you can identify with that, but I definitely identify with that sentiment. So when we talk about having friends, something that we're just going to have to be honest here for a moment, is that when we talk about having friends, we've got to talk about having friends that are people, right? Not like furry friends like pets, but like humans. And people, I know you probably are not going to be surprised by this, but people can be, they could be kind of weird and kind of messy and kind of high maintenance. And there's actually a guy who wrote a book about high maintenance relationships. And so this is fun. I've got a list that I'm going to read through here real quick. And in the book, he identifies several different types of high-maintenance relationships, some different qualities that people have. And so I'm going to read through these real quick. And maybe just shoot up your hand if you've heard of somebody, if you know of somebody personally who would fill. No names, no pointing out, no looking at anyone while you're in here. But we're just going to read through this list quick. How about the critic? Constantly complains and gives unwanted advice. Anybody ever know anyone who is critical? Yeah, right? The martyr, forever the victim and racked with self-pity. Do you know anyone who's been, yeah, we know that. This one's fun, the wet blanket. This is the person who's pessimistic and automatically negative about everything, right? It doesn't matter how great it is. This person's going to go to heaven someday. It'll be on the streets of gold, and they'll be finding the dust, right? There's always something, the wet blanket, they're just always, they're Eeyore. No bother. How about the steamroller? This person is blindly insensitive to others. They're like the bull in the china shop. They just come running in, knock you down. Matter of fact, they don't even know they knocked you down because they just knock you out, right? How about this, the gossip? We don't even need to explain that one. The control freak, unable to let anything go and let it be. They have to control everything. The backstabber, continually two-faced. How about this one, the cold shoulder, disengages and avoids any kind of contact. They call this one the green-eyed monster, seethes with envy, envious about everyone else's job, their position, the money they make, the house they live in, the relationships they're in. They're just always envious of what everyone else has got, right? As we're reading through some of these, you get in the face for some of these that we're reading through these. Ooh, this one's fun, the volcano. How about the volcano? They build steam and is ready to erupt at any moment. The volcano is like you're just like going along. You didn't know there was a problem. All of a sudden, they just blow up in your face, and you're left sitting there wondering like, what just happened? That's the volcano, right? High maintenance relationships. Some of you are like smiling. The sponge, constantly in need but never gives anything back. I encourage you today not to develop any new nicknames from this list that we're reading. How about this one? The competitor. Oh, the competitor. They can make a competition out of anything. It's like the most benign thing in the world, and it's automatic. It's a competition. We just got to see who's going to be the best at it. And so when you read through this list, I think most of us in here, some of us could probably admit, I know somebody, every person on that list. And I just want you to know that aren't you glad today that we are only talking about the people who didn't show up to church this morning? Aren't you thankful for that? Matter of fact, some of you are like, man, if I knew Brian was going to be preaching this good, we would have brought some of those people with us. We'd have had like a seat for like the gossip section and the critics section and the competitors, right? But I think that if we are honest with ourselves for a moment this morning, and just go there, is that we are all high maintenance. Every single one of us has flaws, myself included. As wonderful as your pastor is, he'd probably be the first to admit that he's got issues. But we've all got things that we've got to work through. And so when we understand that, yes, people are messy and that we ourselves are messy, that we've got things that we've got to allow God to work in our lives. There are issues and things that we've got to work through in order to be a friend to another person. So it's not simply recognizing that some people have issues and some people don't. It's that none of us are perfect. All of us are a work in progress. All of us need to allow God to do a work in our heart, in our lives, so that we can engage into relationships and friendships with other people. And being willing to say, hey, you know what? That person might not be perfect, but I'm still going to choose to be their friend as we work through things together. So there are 3 levels of friendship that we can really talk about. The first level is surface level friendship. Now, surface level friendship, these are the people who it just may be an acquaintance, right? Someone you see in the checkout line occasionally. Hey, how's it going? You know, that neighbor down the street that you really never got to know. I've really found that surface level friendship are those people, you know, the people who have like nicknames for them. It's like everyone's like Bud. Hey, Bud. Hey, brother. Hey, guy. What's going on? You know, I had a friend like that in college. He knew nobody. It was like surface level friendship with like 1,000 people, and we'd be walking through in like the dorm or whatever or on campus, and he'd say hi to everyone, and I'm like, oh, that must be like your best friend. He's like, no, I don't even remember their name, right? Surface friendship. It was kind of creepy, but surface friendships are just the ones that just really just at the surface. The next one are structured friendships. These are the friendships that you don't necessarily choose, but they choose you because you are in structure. So, for instance, you're someone in school with them, you're in class with them, or a coworker. It's structured. Or maybe your kids are in Little League together or something like that. It's a structured friendship. So it's not something that you necessarily are pursuing the relationship, but sometimes just because of our schedules and our routines and what we're committed to, they become structured friendships. And the final one that we're going to focus on this morning is this one: solid and secure friendships. Solid and secure friendships. So this goes beyond surface. This isn't just, I just barely know this person and recognize them, or that guy, I can't remember their name. And it's beyond that. It's not just simply a structured friendship. It's not because I have to be around these people all the time. Solid and secure friendships are the relationships that we are intentionally investing into. So these are the relationships that we are intentionally pursuing and investing into. And so those are the ones that we're going to talk about today. Now, I wanted to share this story with you. When I was 12 years old, which was quite a while ago, I got to go on a whitewater rafting trip. Anyone been whitewater rafting before? So when I was 12, I went on my first and my last whitewater rafting trip, if you could tell how this is going to go. And so I went with this church group, and it was a larger group that went, and actually everyone was pretty much young adults, and I think there were some like upperclassmen in high school. So how did I get to go? Well, my dad was the pastor, and my uncle was the one that planned the trip, so 12-year-old Brian gets to tag along with the cool kids and go on this whitewater rafting trip. So we go to the Ohio Powell River, if you've ever been whitewater rafting there, and we get there, and it had been raining, not quite as bad as it had been this week, but it had been raining, and the rivers were flooded, and they were moving very quickly, and so it was a little bit dangerous, so they told us, sorry, we're not going to be able to let you on. So what do they do? I'm sure someone in our group probably whined and complained enough that they were like, all right, we'll let your group on, then we're going to close the raging river of death, and no one else can get on. So before we get on, they do the things that you do at any kind of event activity like this. They sit your group down, right, and they train you. And they train you for all the possible scenarios that might happen on the raging river of death. And so when they're saying, hey, if you fall out of the raft and you're in the rapids, do not try to climb back in the raft because you might capsize it, you might have other people fall out, you might sink it. I don't even know if you can sink a raft. But anyway, they're just saying, wait till you get to the calm part, kind of hold on along the side of the raft and float through the rapids, but don't try to climb back in. Wait till you get into the smooth part. Because the rapids, the way they work, there's like a rough part, the rapids, and there's like a smooth part of the river, and they just rinse and repeat over and over again. And so at one point, another one of my uncles who was on the trip, he fell out in some really, really dangerous rapids. And so, knowing the training, he wasn't going to try to climb in. So this is what happened. With our group, there was this raft, a boat of high school girls. And so he tries to hold onto their raft to float through the rapids to get through. Well, they freak out. And they're like, he's going to kill all of us by trying to get back in this boat. And so we're watching this from the distance, and they start beating him with their oars. Like, straight up. Like, we're watching this distance, we're like, my uncle's going to die. Like, these teenage girls, I'm like, what is happening? Well, they were freaking out. They're like, get off our raft. You're going to sink us. Get off the raft. And so he just lets go and just floats off, and a bear got him on the side. No, he was fine. He was okay. But that really happened. So that was something they trained us, and we got to see that in action. So another thing that they told us is, hey, if your raft hits an object, like if it hits a rock and it starts to take in water, here's what you need to do. Everyone in the raft, to shift the center of gravity, lean towards the rock, shift your gravity, and then the raft will get unstuck and it'll float away. So lo and behold, the raft I was in, we had this exact scenario happen. Our raft slams into this rock, turns into an accordion, like bends in, and water just starts flowing inside. Well, my uncle, knowing the training, who was in my raft, another uncle, I have lots, big family, Catholic, anything, anyway, we start going under, and I'm freaking out. I'm 12 years old, I'm not thinking about the training. I just hear my uncle clearly start yelling, get to the rock. And so I'm not thinking, let's lean to the rock to shift the weight and, we'll float away. I'm like Spider-Man on the side of this rock. I'm like, we're going down, everyone out. And so I'm like, just jump. I'm in the front of the raft. I land on the side of this rock. It's way too big for me to even get my arms around. And so as soon as I do that, I was the ballast that allowed the boat to then get free and go down the raging river of death while Brian slowly slides down the side of the rock into the river, into the rapids. I remember this so vividly. I kid you not, I thought I was dead. I was really like, thankfully, I knew Jesus from a young age, so I'm like, I'm coming home to see you, Lord. I probably started singing a hymn or something like that. I'm floating down the river, did nothing they trained us to do. You're supposed to keep your feet out and all this. My eyes are closed. And so apparently, my uncle's raft, somehow they caught up to me in the rapids, and they're trying to give me an oar. My eyes are closed. I can't even see this. So they start bumping me with the oar, and I'm like, yes, Lord, I'm here. Your faithful servant's here ready to meet you. Literally, this is what I'm thinking. And then all of a sudden, since I'm not paying attention, they maneuver close enough. My uncle he's a big dude, but still, I'm 12 years old, I'm not that small. He reaches down, picks me up out of the rapids with one hand while he's standing in the boat, holds me over his head and shakes me and starts yelling, don't you ever do that to me again. And I'm terrified. I'm like in shock at this moment. He sits me down in the raft. It was a traumatizing experience. Unfortunately, if you've ever been on one of those trips, there's no exit. It's not like you can just be like, hey, I'm just going to stay here. You got to keep going through. So it was not a fun experience for me for the rest of the day. And I really think that friendships are a whole lot like that experience. Because a lot of times we go through things in life, and friends are the ones who are like my uncle and the other people in that boat who chose to chase me down when I was going through something that was completely out of control and something that I didn't have any power to help myself in. And I think good friendship is just like that. And we all go through things. We can all sit here and talk about the things that we have faced, the difficulties, the trials that we have gone through in life. And let's be honest, sometimes it's something that is completely out of our control. Maybe something did to us, or something that was just a terrible accident, mistake that was no one's fault. And maybe sometimes even in life we get into trouble because we don't do some things that are always the wisest things, and we get in trouble. But whatever it is, we all go through things in life. We all face trials. And a friend will be the person who sees you in there, and not like the first experience where they're like beating you with the oar, right? Because we've had people like that in our lives. You're like down and they're like kicking you while you're down. We don't need those kind of friends. We need people who see us and don't allow us to simply go down the raging river of death on our own and be like, get the popcorn, there goes Brian again. Try to pull a Spider-Man on the side of the rock. See how that works out. No, we need friends who will chase us down, who will pursue us when they see us struggling, who will choose to love us even when we make poor decisions, who will choose to support us no matter what we're going through. That is what an image of what friendship is like. It says this in the book of Ecclesiastes: by yourself, you're unprotected. With a friend, you can face the worst. Can you round up a third? A three-stranded rope isn't easily snapped. Life is better together. And see, a lot of times we make the mistake of being so isolated and so alone, which life was never meant to be done alone. God designed us for life with each other. And I've experienced this kind of friendship in my life, of knowing that if I was by myself, I would have been wiped out. I've been through some very difficult things. And knowing that if I didn't have people in my life who chose to chase me down and didn't just take the surface answer of, oh, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm going to be okay, but instead chose to position themselves to chase me down and help me out through something that was difficult for me to go through. And I think this verse really sums it up for us, is that, if you're alone, your chances aren't very good. But man, if you've got someone with you, and man, if you can whip up a third, man, you're going to be in good shape because those people can help you out through whatever you're going through. So it's really important to understand that God designed us to do life together, and that friendship is a part of what God wants for us. So we're going to roll through 4 things that the Bible teaches us in the book of Proverbs about friendship. Proverbs is a wisdom book, and it teaches us a lot. There's a lot of things, quotes of wisdom that come from Proverbs. And so in Proverbs, it teaches us some things specifically about friendship. So number 1 is this: few friends are true friends. Few friends are true friends. Maybe you've heard it said before, in life, if you end up with 1, 2, or 3 even close friends, you're in really great shape, because it's really sometimes hard to find people who are good friends. Proverbs 18:24 says, friends come and friends go, but a true friend sticks to you like family. Some of you are like, if you knew my family, you wish they wouldn't stick to me. But a true friend sticks by you. And it also says this in Proverbs 17:17, friends love through all kinds of weather. I mean, it's easy to find a friend when you're on the mountaintop, when it's like party season, right? When the wedding party is going great and the reception is awesome, it's easy to find people to come celebrate with you. But when you're going through difficulty, or your marriage has even hit some rocks, it's a little more difficult to find people who are going to stick through with you. And so it's really important to understand few friends are true friends. And so when you find those friends, or you make that effort into those friends, you really want to hold on to them. Number 2, friends will speak the truth to you. Now, this could be a little challenging. Friends will speak the truth to you. It says this in Proverbs 27, wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy, unless they're Hershey kisses. And in that case, it's okay. But wounds from a sincere friend are better than the kiss of an enemy. Sorry, just got chocolate on the mind today. I don't know what's happening. We're going to have to go to Saris today later. Anyway, my girls are in here and they heard that. Rabbit trail. So friends, where was I at? Friends speak truth to you. And so a lot of times we think that friendship is just all about the feel good. It's all about them just being there, supporting us no matter what, which is true most of the time. But sometimes, and I don't know about you, but sometimes I do things that aren't always the wisest thing, or I don't always make the best decision. Maybe you can identify. And a friend will love you enough and care about you enough to tell you the truth. So it's not like they're beating you down and being like, you stupid idiot, what do you think? No, it's not like that. But they're like, hey, you're telling me that this is something that you're trying to achieve or something that you're trying to do, but I see the decisions you're making and they're not quite lining up. What's up with that? See, a true friend will love you and care enough about you to speak the truth to you, even if it's not something you want to hear, but you know and trust them enough that they're saying this not because they want to bring you down or because they're down on you. It's because they care about you enough to speak the truth to you, that they love you and they want to see you live life to the fullest. Number 3, friends refresh us. Proverbs 27, it says this: a sweet friendship refreshes the soul. A friend is somebody that when you see them coming, you don't run the other way. It's not like that experience at the grocery store where you see that one person and you quickly try to melt into the end cap so they hope they don't see you, right? That's not what a friendship is. Some of you in here by your face, I just know that you do that. But anyway, I would never do anything like that as a pastor. Brandon never tries to hide from anyone or any of you at the grocery store. He loves you. Make sure you go up and talk to him. Ask him about what's in his cart, and he loves that. So friends refresh us. A friend is someone when you see them coming, you are excited. You want to spend time with them. It's someone who they don't drain you, but someone who adds value to your life. And that's something that should be mutual in friendship, that you shouldn't be a drain to them, but someone that you also refresh them. Number 4, friends sharpen one another. It says this in Proverbs: you use steel to sharpen steel, and one friend sharpens another. Friends make each other better. It's not a one-way street. It's not simply the relationship that they just constantly giving to you or that you're constantly giving to the other person. But when you find true friendship, that friend will make you better because they will refresh you, they will stick by you through difficult times, and they will speak the truth in love to you. And when you have that kind of relationship and you have that kind of friendship, it will absolutely build you up. We'll build each other up. It'll make us better. It'll help us to overcome the adversity that we have in life, the difficulties, the things that we face. We all need friends. God didn't design us to do life alone. And I know sometimes the older we get, the more difficult it seems. And really now, in the culture that we live in, that just seems to get even more hurried, even more rushed. I was talking to someone recently, and they were asking, they're an adult now, but a young adult, and they were asking, well, how did you get a hold of people before cell phones? And so, for me, we definitely grew up without cell phones. We had the phone in the wall that had like the 35-foot cable, you know what I'm talking about? And it was, stretched out, and you could make like 2 laps around the house and still be on the phone. Life has sped up so much that everyone is just instantly available. Our schedules are getting busier. Kids' schedules, don't even get me started on what it looks like for a high school or even a middle school student now and how busy they are. Life just gets so busy. We fill it with so many things that it seems it's so difficult to find time for friends. So how can we find friendship? And I think if we're honest, we all know that friendship is a good thing. And like so many things in life, we know that things are good for us, but we seldomly make the time for them. But really, the first thing that we've got to start with if we want to find friendship is this, that we have got to be the right person. We have got to be the right person. Matter of fact, how we see ourselves affects the way that we see other people. And so we've got to start by allowing us, we got to recognize, we read through that list and that was kind of fun, but if we're honest with ourselves, we all find ourselves somewhere on that spectrum. And if it's not something that we listed, we all have things that we have got to work through. And matter of fact, if it's not that, it's just pure selfishness, right? And we're all born being selfish. No one has to work on developing, hey, what are you doing? I'm going to go to the selfish gym today. I'm going to really work out my selfish biceps so I can be, no. It's just natural. If you've been around kids or had kids, you know that being selfish is just what is natural to us. And so we all have things that we've got to work through. And so the great thing is being a part of one church is that you are around people who are also striving to follow after God. And Jesus is the great physician, and we've got to allow him to do some work on our hearts. Because none of us are perfect. We're all got things that we're going through. We've all got things that we're facing and difficulties. And so that we've got to allow Jesus to work on our lives and start there. We've got to start by beginning to become the man, the woman of God that he has called us and purposed us to be. That God calls us, we come to relationship with him, but that's just the start of the journey. We never stop becoming more like him. We never stop becoming more Christ-like. That he's constantly, when you're in a relationship with Jesus and you're spending time with him, he's constantly going to be up in your grill, challenging you to become more like him, to become more Christ-like, to have more attributes and virtues like Christ did, of being selfless, of caring for others, of putting others first, of choosing to be kind, of choosing to forgive. And so we've got to start in friendship by working on ourselves and allowing and recognizing it's not just about getting some self-help thing and just trying to improve myself so people like me. That's not what it's about at all. It's not about putting some cape on that you're super Christian and run around and you're like saving the day in every friendship. You're like, friendship hero, here to save the day. No, it's not about that. It's recognizing that we're imperfect people and we're flawed and that we need God. And we need Jesus to do a work in our life. And so finding friendship simply starts by making a commitment that we're going to allow God to do that work in our heart, in our lives. The second one is this, is that if we want to find friends, we've got to commit the time and energy. We've got to commit the time and energy. And see, it's one of those things in life, we all know that there are certain things that are good for us that we need to do, but we just don't make time. Point in case, exercise. Everyone knows that exercise, there's like, if they show me one more study that shows how beneficial exercising is, we all know that it's something we should be doing, but none of us make time for it because, it's a great idea until you're exercising and everything in your body is telling you this is a dumb thing, I hate exercising, but the benefits are there, but we just don't make time and make it a priority. And friendship is very much the same way. We know that friendship is something that we're supposed to have. We know that doing life together is something that should be a priority. It's just that we rarely make the time and put the effort and energy into having a friendship. And so we've got to start by allowing God to do the work in our life, and then we've got to commit the time and the energy. All relationships require cultivation. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that I just, see you walking down, hey, we're going to be friends. Hey, we're best friends now. No one knows. Everyone knows it doesn't work like that. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes putting that effort into it and choosing to make it a priority in our lives. We've got to create margin for friendship. Margin is simply, like the margin on the papers, the space around. You've got to have margin in your life for friendship. You've got to create that space and that time. And sure, we all have those things that and we're all busy, right? But I think social media just proved once and for all time that we have time. It's just that we choose to peruse Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everything else instead. But we all have things that we're like, yeah, we know television and internet, all those things that we're like, yeah, we could cut some of that out. But it's important that we make margin in our lives so that we can have friendship. So I want to finish today with the one thing. And simply today, the one thing is this. Be the friend you want. So what does that mean? Are you supposed to be your best friend? No, that's not where we're going with this. Be the friend that you would want. Someone gave me this advice once. Someone who I had seen and I really admired the friendships that they had. And it seemed like they had a lot of friendships and they were really in-depth friendships. People who they really cared for and really cared for them. And so they told me this one time, if you want to really have friendship like this, you've got to invest and you've got to be the friend that you would want. So the one thing is simply this, be the friend that you would want. We've got to start by being a friend to somebody else. Because you might say, Brian, I hear you, and that sounds great, and I don't even know where I would start with this. I would just encourage you to do this. Get involved with one church. Get involved. Serve on the Love CV Day. Just find some ways to serve. Serve here on Sundays. Get involved in the children's ministry or with hospitality or greeting people. Find some way. Talk to Brandon. Find some way to serve and get involved and get around other people who are Christ-like, who are trying to follow after God. Another great thing to do is get involved in small groups. Find a small group to get involved with here. Talk to Brandon or go to the info table after and get some information and getting involved in a small group. But find some way to get around people who are also trying to follow after God and choose to start this process of being a friend to someone else. Because it's really easiest to be, like I was, envious of somebody else who had a lot of friendships. It's a lot more difficult, but we've got to start by choosing to be a friend to someone else. Choose to cultivate that friendship. Choose to pursue that other person. Maybe today when we've been talking, it kind of stirred some memories and feelings of someone that you once had a friendship with and it's kind of cooled off over the years. Maybe it's time for you to be that friend to that person once again and pursue that relationship. Maybe you're like, Brian, I'm in a new season and I'm in a new place, or things have just been crazy and I just haven't, friendship's not been on the radar for a very long time. And maybe your step is just to find some way to get involved here and get around some other people at one church and find a way to be a friend to someone else. Because when we choose to befriend someone else, when we choose to be that friend to someone else, then we begin to cultivate that friendship and we give that relationship an opportunity to develop into a Christ-centered, Christ-honoring friendship. And I'm telling you today, friends, that God designed us to do life together, and friendship is absolutely part of his plan. Would you pray with me? Heavenly Father, I thank you for this opportunity to talk about friendship and how you designed us to do life together. God, I pray that you would help us to be bold enough to make these steps, to choose to start with ourselves and inspect our lives and allow you to do a work in our hearts. And God, to create the time and space that we need in our lives for the friendship that you have designed for us to live in. And God, finally, I pray that you would just help all of us to rise to that challenge for that one thing, to be the friend that we would want, to choose to love and care for someone else and cultivate that relationship with another person. God, we thank you and we give you the praise. In Jesus' name, amen.